Well, good afternoon. I appreciate everyone coming today. Very pleased to be here today with Senate Majority Leader Richardville and Speaker Bolger. A very important topic this afternoon, talking about the city of Detroit. I know there's been reports out there, but I thought it best to hold a press conference to address these things directly. I would make a comment that a number of the things I won't be able to answer in terms of some of the questions, and I bear your indulgence because I'm under a mediation order of confidentiality on a number of points. But before I get into the specifics about what we're talking about in terms of the state and our possible participation in a settlement, I want to really set the stage with the history appropriately. With respect to the city of Detroit, I've firmly taken the position, even before I was in office, that if Michigan's to be a great state again, we need Detroit on a positive path to success. And we need to work hard on that. So I think over the last several years, many of us have been very diligent about partnering with the city of Detroit to help it get through these difficult times. And it's gone through a steady process of that. If you go back to 2011, it began with trying to partner the best we could. And we've kept that spirit of partnership up this entire time. But could we simply partner to achieve great results in terms of improvement? That wasn't totally successful. We went to the consent agreement. We went through that process. We then went to emergency managers. And then ultimately we ended up in bankruptcy. Bankruptcy was a last resort. But one thing I'd remind people is the bankruptcy was not about a new problem for Detroit. The focus of all these efforts have been on saying, let's find a solution to 60 years of problems. This is about getting Detroit to be stable, to grow again, to give good services to its citizens, to help people in all parts of Detroit, whether we're talking Midtown, downtown, the riverfront, but particularly the neighborhoods. The comeback of Detroit needs to include all elements of the city for the long term, and we need to stay focused on making that happen. So this has been an ongoing practice in terms of working together. Now we're in the bankruptcy, and one thing, I've had that question that people say people may seek bankruptcy after this case. What I can tell you is no one's going to want to go seek bankruptcy. This is not an experience one should want to be part of if you ever have a choice. It's a very difficult process. And it's true by definition. If you're in bankruptcy, basically you're in a situation where you have more claims on your resources than you have resources to satisfy those claims. So in effect, there isn't a totally positive outcome possible. There are challenges to this situation. The question is how do you get through it effectively and constructively as possible so you can move forward and the participants can move forward in a positive, constructive way. And so that's one of the great issues we find in this situation is how to deal with that. The other part is you have assets at risk. And that's one of the topics there have been many reports on, and just one illustration would be the DIA, the Detroit Institute of Arts. So it's a situation where it's difficult to see how you come out with winners across the board, but you need to get through it because that will create an environment for long-term growth and success to get through the bankruptcy. One of the parts of bankruptcy that I am very thankful for, that I do admire, is Judge Rhodes and his efforts to say, you should try to work this out among the parties. And that's really the mediation process. So I want to be very thankful to the fact there's a team of mediators led by Chief Judge Rosen that have been working hard to say, can a number of the parties come together to get a constructive resolution of this situation in this very trying time? He should be complimented and his team should be complimented, and the judge should be complimented for that effort. They have been working hard, the mediators. I've had multiple meetings with multiple mediators, and that will be an ongoing process as many other people have. One thing in particular that I want to give the credit to the mediators for being successful is their effort with the foundation community. And the foundation community, both local and national, that are participating in what you've seen in the press deserve a huge shout out for coming to the table. It's unprecedented to find foundations looking to use their resources to solve a situation like this. And I'll reinforce what they wrote in a column they put together to say that the resources we're talking about would not be at the expense of their commitments to the community or the state in some other fashion. This is an incremental commitment to solve a problem. And in the spirit of what they've said, they've publicly disclosed some of the conditions that they have as part of their interest in settling this situation. They've said as part of a settlement, and they would only do this if it's part of a settlement among the city, the state, the employees, the retirees, and the unions, that their resources would go to the pensioners, to the retirees, in terms of minimizing the cuts that they would have to face. In addition, the DIA would be a protected asset according to their conditions. It's truly admirable to have them come to the table with resources that, according to public reports, are in the range of $330 million. As part of that process, they've encouraged people to join them in participating. Now I'm getting to what we're talking about specifically here today. I'm very much encouraged by their actions. After careful analysis and great discussions with leaders that are standing here with me and leaders also in the Democratic Party side of both chambers of the legislature, we've had a lot of positive discussions. And so I'm here today to say I recommend that we move forward with being part of a settlement. In terms of what does that mean? I'm recommending that we look to make an investment of up to $350 million over a period of 20 years to join with the foundation money to help resolve the bankruptcy case. Now, we should have conditions to also how we would do this. To put it in context, some of the conditions that I think are important. First, it would only happen in the event that there is a settlement between the city, the state, the unions, the employees, and the retirees. The second thing is that these resources should go to the retirees. Again, the idea is how to minimize the negative impact, particularly for income retirees, in a difficult situation like this. The third thing is that we need to look forward to strong management of whatever resources are being set aside for retirees. In particular, I think there should be a requirement for independent fiduciary management of the pension resources in terms of making sure they're being properly managed. There are a number of other conditions, but I would say you can look to say we're being consistent with both the foundations and what they're asking for, and some additional ones that I'm not going to disclose at this point because it wouldn't be appropriate given our discussions with the mediators. This is an opportunity to really resolve things. This is a significant commitment of resources. One thing I would tell you, though, one of the sources I would look towards, and again, what I'm recommending at this point in time is that we look to tobacco settlement dollars as a good potential source to look at, in the sense that it's either one that would not be subject to annual appropriation if we were to do it on a periodic payment basis, or again, there's an opportunity in discussions with the mediators to offer a bond that would be the present value of that stream and securitize that bond with tobacco settlement dollars. Again, there are maybe other options, but I wanted to put that out as what I think is a very viable tool to use in this situation. Another thing I would mention, though, about what is this? What do you want to call it? What would you describe it as? This is a settlement. This is not a bailout. And I want to be very, very clear about that. This is not a bailout of paying the debts directly of the city of Detroit. This is not a bailout of dollars for Detroit's debts. This is not a bailout of banks and other creditors. This is focused in on helping reduce and mitigate the impact on retirees. It's focused on protecting assets. It's focused on showing good results and allowing the city to move forward by hopefully resolving this case in a more positive rather than a more negative way, faster and better. That could have dramatic savings both in terms of dollars and time. Because this is really about settling it so we can grow the city of Detroit. The point here is this is a chapter that none of us wish we had to live through. But it's after 60 years of negative things going on, it had to be done. My view is if we can participate in something to settle it more effectively, faster, and better, that's a tremendous advantage for all of Michigan. And again, we have retirees from Detroit across all corners of Michigan. And we have fabulous assets that we want to see continue in Detroit and Michigan. But the other one is the overall image and approach and how we interact with one another as Michiganders. It would be more positive to get this behind us. And how many of us have traveled somewhere in the country or the world and had to listen about this bankruptcy? To see it happen for a much shorter period versus a longer period because there's a settlement, I view that as having tremendous value to the state of Michigan and to all of us. So that's where I believe this is a settlement offer. The settlement offer in conjunction with the foundations, and I hope other parties. Again, we're going to encourage other parties to participate and add resources to this pool, but to create a situation where it will not make retirees whole, but it would significantly reduce the burdens that they would otherwise face to avoid safety social net issues and other problems in their lives. So I'm very excited to be here. I've talked longer than normal on this topic because it is so important. But I also want to give an opportunity to say I'm very excited about the support I'm seeing so far. Again, I've not asked for votes. I've not asked for legislation to move forward yet, but I've had very constructive discussions. It's great to be standing here with the majority leader and the speaker. I've had positive discussions, and we have had positive discussions with the minority leader in both houses, both minority leaders. So this is a case where I hope there's ongoing dialogue, but this is a major step forward. With that, I would like to turn it over to Senate Majority Leader Richardville. And again, I want to thank both these fine gentlemen for joining me today, because this is a courageous act, but it's the right act to say we're taking care of Michiganders to move us all farther and faster together in a settled fashion. So thank you.